Hello and welcome back to Payday 2 101. Today we're on to the Playerdozer Deathwish build. This build is made specifically for Deathwish, however it is still effective on lower difficulties. If you'd like to see the build in action before you decide to check it out, click on the video on screen to see myself and some friends get all 22 bags on a Deathwish run of Rat's Pro Job while I use my Deathwish Playerdozer build. Because this is a Deathwish build, the build is made using 5 points of Infamy for an Infamy level 5 character. If you aren't Infamy level 5 though, don't worry, you can modify this build very easily and come out with an almost as good version. Now onto the build. Before we get into the individual skills, first an explanation as to exactly what a Playerdozer build is. The goal with the Playerdozer build is to have both Iron Man basic, so you can wear the heaviest armor in the game, the improved combined tactical vest, as well as to have bulletproof, preferably aced, so that you have much stronger armor as well as a better armor recovery rate. The goal of this is to make yourself as tanky as possible. The only real requirements to be a Playerdozer are bulletproof, usually aced, and Iron Man, usually basic. I just want to show you my version of the Playerdozer. This is the build that I run with most often and have the most success with on Deathwish. First, we'll get Mastermind out of the way. We have Endurance aced. You'll need that stamina quite a bit with the heavy armor. Normally, I would like to have Cable Guy, however, we simply don't have enough skill points and it'd be spreading us too thin. And this build is greatly aided if someone on the team does have Leadership aced. Unlike most of my Deathwish builds, we do not have Control Freak aced for the inside man stuff, so that you can purchase an escape vehicle in a Deathwish mission. Unfortunately, we did not have the skill points for it. For Ghost, we just have the necessary opener for every build, which is Sprinter ace, Cat Burglar basic, Fast Hands aced, and Shinobi basic. For Fugitive, we have Thick Skin aced. Now, although we're not using a ballistic vest, we do not get that extra 20 armor. We're simply acing this so that we can use up the least skill points possible while getting to run and gun. The 10% additional movement speed when you're wearing such heavy armor will be quite noticeable, so you'll need that. Next, into Technician and Enforcer, where we're going to spend most of our time. First, we ace Transporter, because it's a necessary skill. We get Basic Underdog, because you'll often be surrounded by 3 or more enemies. You're going to be very up close and personal. This is a shotgun build, and you're going to be very tanky, so it does play to an advantage having that extra 15% damage bonus every once in a while. Die Hard aced. Mostly we have this to increase your armor. You're not often going to be using your primary while down with this build, but the armor recovery rate is very big. Shotgun Impact aced, because you need it for using a shotgun. Stun Resistance aced, to make sure that when you get flashbanged in the fray you don't go down so easily, you can get your bearings quicker. Tough Guy basic, to reduce your camera shake when under fire. This is mostly just to go up in the tiers. We have Berserker aced. This is a very big one for this build, especially in Deathwish, because when you're revived in Deathwish, you'll always have less than 25% of your health. This means that you do 250% more melee damage and saw damage, but you're not going to use your saw as a weapon, as well as double damage with guns, whenever your health is below 25%. It's in your best interest to keep your health below that 25% mark on Deathwish with this build, as you'll be very easily one-shotting everything with your shotgun later. I'll be going into that in the loadout section. We have Shotgun CQB basic. You need this for using a shotgun. It doubles your reload speed. Now here's one where you get to really pick yourself. I took the Portable Saw to go up in this tier. The Portable Saw gives you a little bit more utility purpose on different missions. You cover an extra role for people. However, if you want to modify this build, a good place to modify it would be to perhaps move the Portable Saw points into fully loaded to increase your maximum ammo capacity. That one's up to you. Next, we have Basic Iron Man, so you can wear the improved combined tactical vest. This is, of course, a big part of the Playerdozer build. And lastly, Basic Overkill, so that whenever you kill someone with a shotgun, you do 75% more damage for 5 seconds. That will, of course, stack with your Berserk to be 175%, and if you're surrounded, an extra 15% on top of that. You'll be one-shotting, even on Deathwish, most things in the head after you get that initial kill. Very useful, but again, we'll go into that more with a loadout. Lastly, we have the Technician tree. A lot of this is just to fill out the tree because we are just aiming to get to bulletproof. So, we have Rifleman ace, so the snap to zoom is double, which will come in handy quite often. You'll be using assault rifles and snipers almost exclusively for your primary, unless you have the buzzsaw, then you'll occasionally take that. And the extra zoom level for assault rifles and snipers I find to be quite useful. Sharpshooter, more accurate with all single-shot weapons. You're likely going to be using almost only single-shot weapons. However, the stability is more so why we took this, and to go up in tiers. Demolition Man, Basic, and Combat Engineer are entirely to go up in tiers. Nerves of Steel Aced, you can use Steel Sight and Bleed Out, and you take half damage while interacting with things. The interaction is mostly what we have this for, so that if a medic goes down, for instance, you could sit there and pick them back up, and you'll be nearly invincible while you do so. However, the Steel Sight and Bleed Out, although it also is to go up in tiers, it is very useful in case you have a sniper rifle or assault rifle and you want to get a sniper who shot you so that someone can safely get you. We have all of our drill perks, of course, so we have Aced Hardware Expert, Ace Drill Sergeant, and Basic Silent Drilling. If you haven't seen my other videos, you never need to ace Silent Drilling. It's an absolute waste of skill points, and 8 skill points at that is a huge investment. We have Shockproof Aced here. This is a nice one, although not huge. This is another one that you might want to modify, take these points, put them into something else if you'd like to. But being able to backfire tasers is just one of those extra little things that make you a little bit more indestructible. And lastly, we have Bulletproof Aced. Basic is you have 50% more armor, which of course has a huge bonus for the improved Combined Tactical Vest, which already has a lot of armor, as well as a huge armor recovery rate increase for you and your entire crew. Only one person on the team needs Bulletproof Ace, so if you play regularly with someone else who has it aced, then you can afford to put these points into something else, say Meg Plus might be a good investment of that. Or to put that into Fully Loaded. If you can manage to squeeze enough points to ace Fully Loaded or even pick up Ammunition Specialist, those would all be wise investments. Before we go into the loadout, we're going to go into the perk deck here. And there are 2 perk decks you can choose from. The recommended one I'd recommend is the Muscle perk deck, maxing out Muscle and wearing that to make yourself as tanky as possible. You're often going to want your health to be below 25%, so you want to make sure that that 25% mark is as high as possible, to give you as much wiggle room when your armor goes down while your health is low. But if no one on the team has maxed out Armorer, it might be a good choice for you to take Armorer instead, so that the whole crew has that extra bit of armor recovery rate, as well as a bit of extra armor for yourself. You'll get more out of Muscle, however, if there is no Armorer on the team, you should be the Armorer. Onto the loadout. Now onto the loadout, first with the primaries and first with the Loud Car 4. If you've seen any of my build videos, you've already seen this Car 4, but I'll show it once again. We've got the Long Barrel, Competitor's Compensator, No Custom, Gazelle Rail, Military Laser Module, Pro Grip or Rubber Grip, either one works. The Car Quad Stack Mag, I use the Speculator Sight, the War-Torn Stock, and the Exotique Receiver. You come out with a wonderful multi-purpose assault rifle. It works for anything, it's even effective on Deathwish. Beautiful gun, you can use this for any heist. For the next primary, we have the R93 Sniper Rifle. Normally I favor the Rattlesnake, however on Deathwish difficulty you need that extra strength, so I go with the R93. We have no barrel. For the gadget, I use the angled sight, although the military laser module is also a good choice. For the sight, I like the solar sight for sniper rifles, and the wooden body stock to give you some more stability. This is strong enough to one-shot most regular enemies, I believe all regular enemies on Deathwish difficulty, including ghosts, however not tasers, and it'll take 2 shots to the head through a shield on Deathwish difficulty to kill the shield. It's not perfect or anything, however, it's a lot more ammo efficient than the Thanatos, and it does have the stopping power that the Rattlesnake unfortunately does not have on Deathwish difficulty. I do recommend this weapon quite a bit. Lastly, for the primaries, and this one's a bit of a unique one, we have the Predator 12-gauge shotgun. Now, this is an interesting one because on paper it looks like quite a bad gun, actually. However, in use, it's kind of like a weaker version of the Locomotive. Its major advantage is that it shoots very quickly and has almost no visual recoil at all. It's one of those ones that you have to try out to really understand how it is useful. However, I'd only recommend the Predator 12 gauge if other people on the team can cover the very long-range stuff and you're on a mission where you're inside tight corridors very often, and can warrant having 2 shotguns. We have the triple-aught buckshot to help with the spread a little bit, although it's less pellets. We have the extended mag, gives it a lot more ammo. Shark teeth nozzle. We have the military laser module. For the sight, I like the speculator sight, and for reticle, I use the Circle 3 for shotguns, usually. And the solid stock. You come out with a very effective weapon. This is nice for if your locomotive runs out of shells during the fight, you can quickly switch to this, which will be fully loaded, and finish off the enemies before reloading your guns. Lastly, onto the secondaries, with the only secondary you're going to be using, the Locomotive 12 gauge. I've gone over this before, it's a beautiful, beautiful weapon. For anyone wondering why, hey, I'm on Deathwish, why are you not using the Judge Gun? Here's a link to a video explaining the breakdown of the Judge Gun versus the Locomotive that I did in great, great detail, using all that sciencey number stuff. Anyway, no ammunition for the Locomotive, no special ammunition that is. We use the default double-aught buckshot, which is very important. It's a low ammo capacity weapon. You cannot afford to take anything else, really. Not that you really need it. Some people like to go triple-aught buckshot with the Locomotive, however, the extra 15 damage doesn't really hit any extra damage thresholds after you factor in things like Berserk and Overkill. Not really worth taking any special ammo. We have the Shark Teeth nozzle, the military laser module, rubber grip, although pro grip is just as good, extended magazine. I like the speculator sight. As you can see here, I actually use Circle 1 on this one. For the stock, I use the Police Shorty stock, and we use the Shell Rack. You come out with exactly 6 accuracy on this, and I like 6 accuracy on the highest difficulty, like this on Deathwish, because you're going to be up close and personal, you're a Playerdozer, so that extra spread is really nice while still having enough accuracy that it very reliably hits the dead center of the screen with at least 1 pellet, so it's not so much based on luck. You'll be an absolute meat grinder with this gun. That's it for this episode of Payday 2 101. On the next episode, we're likely on to more weapon guide videos. If you're interested in this series and would like to watch more, a link to the playlist will both be on screen as well as in the description. This series is ever updating as new patches change the game, so I'll keep you guys up to date. If you're looking for some teammates to play with, why not join in my Steam group linked in the description. And if you want to keep up with me, I have my Facebook fan page and Twitter linked down there as well. Feel free to request I talk about anything in the game as long as I don't already have a video on it in the playlist, and I look forward to seeing everyone's feedback. If you want to see me play some more Payday 2, click the video on the left to see my series Payday 2 A Journey. And if you want to see a different game, click the video on the right to see my newest Let's Play. That's it for this video, thank you all for watching, and until next time, have a nice day.